broadcasting across the nation from the East Coast to the West, keeping you up to date on technology while enjoying a little whiskey on the side, with leading-edge topics, along with special guests, to navigate technology in a segmented, stylized radio program. The information that will make you go, Pull up a seat, raise a glass with our hosts as we spend the next hour talking about technology for the common person. Welcome to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mumm.
Welcome to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm, the show that makes you go, technology news of the week. The show for the everyday person talking about technology, broadcasting across the nation with insightful segments on subjects weeks ahead of the mainstream media. We welcome our radio audience of 35 million listeners to an hour of insightful technology news. Each week our show covers the weekly top technology subjects without a political agenda. We verify the facts and we do it with a sense of humor in less than 60 minutes, and of course, with a little whiskey on the side. I'm Nathan Mumm. Welcome to our show today. We live stream during our show on 5 of the most popular platforms, including YouTube, Twitch.tv, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We encourage you to watch us live or visit us online at techtimeradio.com. You can even become a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/techtimeradio and listen to the show with special features and help support the show. You can also tweet us during the show at #TechTimeRadio, and we'll do our best to respond to your tweets on the air. If you enjoy the show, of course, make sure to give us a 5-star review on whatever podcast service you may use. I'm your host, a technologist with 30 years of technology expertise working for Fortune 500 companies across the country. My co-host here, Mike Gorday, is an award-winning author, originally from Arizona. Mike's a human behavior expert living in the Seattle area with a master's degree in forensic psychology. Mike is here to keep me from geeking out while providing insight into human behavior and how it interacts with technology. We are two friends from different backgrounds, but bring the best technology show possible every week for our family, friends, and fans to enjoy. Welcome everyone to the show today. Mr. Gorday, we are a packed show. Is that something new?
Are we really?
We are a packed show.
Are you sure?
We got 2 guests. We got a lot of things to talk about. Really excited to talk about the National Cybersecurity Strategy that was released by the Biden administration. We're going to be talking with Nick about that. Phil's back to finish his 3-part series. We're going to be talking a little bit about some ChatGPT stuff. Guess what? People are using ChatGPT to issue serial numbers for registration of Microsoft's operating system. We're going to be talking about that in the Nathan Nugget. Does that make you sound good? And what happened on April Fool's Day? Which company released their free email service? We'll be talking about that in our This Week in Technology. Plus, tons of other exciting items like Mike's mesmerizing moment, This Week in Technology. And of course, if we have enough time, my little nugget at the end of the show. As always, we pick our pick of the day whiskey tasting during the commercials to see if our selected whiskey pick gets 0, 1, or 2 thumbs up at the end of the show. Everybody sit back, can raise a glass, and welcome to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm. Now it's time for the latest headlines in the world of technology.
Here are our top technology stories of the week.
All right, story number 1. Apple may now embrace the metaverse after all. Let's go to our Apple expert on why Apple is making the move into VR/AR technology.
Apple's plan is almost the exact opposite of Facebook's. No new company names, no CEO in Wonderland videos, and absolutely no VR or AR headsets or glasses on the market. Not yet. It's been more of a slow software and services burn because Apple can get all of that out and test-driven by all of those billion-plus iPhones in our pockets and iPads in our backpacks because they already have ARKit, their beyond solid augmented reality framework, and more recently, Object Capture, which lets you easily scan IRL objects into virtual ones and share their USDZ files as easily as you share an animated GIF today. Those are the obvious bits, the critical components for getting everyone from developers to creators on board. Hell, much more on the battle between Apple and Facebook for the future and everything that's coming next.
All right, so
Did that guy say GIF?
Yep, yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. All right, so the Apple CEO, Tim Cook, described something similar to the metaverse in a recent interview. So he's been totally against kind of the metaverse. He's kind of made fun of Zuckerberg as much as they can in the political space without saying, Zuckerberg, you're crazy. Now Cook, though, describes something that sounds very familiar to the metaverse. It's essentially the terms that Apple is coming up with a significantly idea-framed property, which means that they're actually working on a world, much as you would in any of these property type of deals, that would be a mix in their headset launch that's going to be coming out in 2023. Now, metaverse has been this whole thing. You cover these glasses, you put them on, you don't see anything out the front. Everybody's very familiar with the big white front of these VR glasses, but Apple's working on an augmented reality aspect where essentially you can walk around, much more of the Iron Man type of deal when he puts the Iron Man suit on and he's kind of got the towers that he's seen, but it's got information, kind of like Terminator 2.
Got your heads-up display?
Yeah, you're kind of your heads-up display. Remember Terminator 2? He says, this is a critical person. He kills them. Arnold does. And this is somebody that's an ally and don't kill him. So information in the real world. Apple is deciding to kind of backtrack, saying that they weren't going to do that, to actually say that they are now looking to see if this augmented reality technology is something that they want in the future. Now, it makes sense. They've had emojis. They've had scanning. They already have the login ID on your phone where it scans your whole face to get in here. So they're kind of ahead of the game. And instead of just saying, oh, we're going to push this, Apple's going to slowly release out, but they're in the process of creating a 3D virtual world that they're going to have people have storefronts in and have other type of living aspects in this reality.
Yay.
So there you go.
They might have already scared Facebook.
Well,
because I have seen an uptick in advertisements for Meta stuff.
Haven't you? Isn't that funny? So no. Facebook drops their Meta stuff, and I see all these ads now coming on up for the metaverse stuff with these Facebook ads.
And how it interfaces with like fire services and all this other stuff.
So now they're doing this big media push. Either that or they spent that media push 6 months ago, and now they're like, oops, I shouldn't have spent that money on the media spend.
I still haven't gone into the metaverse yet. So
I got my VR unit back from my son. So I got a couple games I want to play, and so we'll see what happens there. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, story number 2.
Yeah. So just when everything was going on, NASA has finally decided to send some folks back to the moon.
Okay.
They have recently just picked out 4 astronauts to test out the new 32-story Mega Moon rocket, which is the most powerful rocket in the world. They are going to send this group of folks, and the interesting thing that came out of this that stuck out to me is they have 4 astronauts they've picked out, and they made sure to let us know that one of them's Canadian. So the Canadian Space Agency is on board with this too. So I think that's great. At any rate, it's called the Artemis 2. The mission is expected to serve as a crucial stress test of Orion's life support system, the new passenger spacecraft that NASA hopes will shuttle astronauts to the moon and carry out its long-term ambitions, which is establishing a permanent lunar base for research. The intention, of course, is as a launch pad for any missions to Mars in the future.
Okay.
The crew selections were announced Monday morning from NASA Johnson Space Center in Houston. And
so is the moon going to become like Chicago O'Hare if I'm going over to the East Coast? It's going to be the hub. It's going to be the hub.
One of the things that we've seen in this development during the space race is, first off, can we put somebody onto a planet and leave them there? Okay. So we have the lunar base idea. That's been in science fiction since before the space program.
Yep.
And it also serves as a way to see how we are going to interact in a non-terrestrial environment.
Do you think this has anything to do with now that you have Japan going on up to the moon and trying to kind of parse it out to that?
I think all of this, the reason why the space race occurred in the first place was because the Russians put up a satellite.
Yeah.
And then it was the first to the moon. So, yeah, there's probably some political competition going on here.
Okay.
So we'll see. We'll see. So, the names of the astronauts.
Yeah.
Mission Specialist Christina Hammock-Koch, Pilot Victor Glover, Mission Commander G. Reed Wiseman, and Mission Specialist Jeremy Hansen will be looking to take this moon flight. They're just going to circle the moon. They're not actually going to touch down like before. They're just going to circle the moon.
Okay.
As late as November of 2024, so next year.
Okay, so they're just getting everything ready to go.
Yep.
All right, story number 3, we got iOS 16.4. If you got yourself an iPhone right now, if you've tried to launch the weather app, best of luck to you. So I launched my weather app. Do you have an iPhone too? And you're going to be like, what the heck? This is what's happening right now. So if you launch your weather app, nothing happens. Or what ends up I end up getting Australian weather that will come on up and tell me that my GPS coordinates in the town of Snohomish that I live in.
Actually, I think that happened on my work phone.
Yeah.
I think I got some Australian stuff.
Okay, so it's all messed up.
That's awesome.
New report suggests Apple is currently working on an emergency patch for the recently released 16.4 as the company aims to fix several bugs. The update will most likely identify the recent problems with the weather app. iPhone users across the internet, including myself, have experienced weather unavailable notices on the app widget, leaving myself going, what the heck's going on with our forecast? So then I have to launch a different application.
Well,
I know.
That's sort of a bad thing.
Weather bug,
after this whole other, hey, we're going to take on the metaverse thing.
Yeah.
What if you can't get your iPhones working?
It does not appear Apple is too concerned, though. They say that they will also be working on why all of a sudden Wi-Fi networks seem to be forgotten on your new phone that you were previously connected to, forcing iPhone users to re-enter the information. One Twitter user opens essentially a claim that the error happens when connecting to a dropped or switched network, even if the information is synced via iCloud. Apple says they will immediately fix their problems and address it as needed. A little bit better than our technology fail. They're not addressing any of the problems. Later today, we're going to be talking about a company that just says, guess what? We don't know what we're doing. We got hacked, and we're just going to hopefully ride out the wave, and hopefully people are still with us. You're going to want to stay in for that one. Is
this somebody we've talked about before?
No, it's a new person,
okay,
but the same exact. It must be the same exact PR company because the PR company is just like
with the Disk Network, or which one was it?
This is Western Digital. We'll be talking about a bit later today. All right, well that ends our top technology stories of the week. Moving on, we have a packed show. We have Nick Espinosa. He's going to be on to talk about the National Cybersecurity Initiative that the White House released a few weeks ago. We're going to break down this 40-page document to get what our nation's plan is for identifying cybersecurity. And yes, we have Phil Hennessy back on the show to conclude our multi-part series talking about the detail of the James Webb Space Telescope. You're listening to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm. We'll see you after these commercial breaks. Hey, Mike, I'm looking for some help writing our blog post for TechTime Radio.
Well, you should try Phosphor AI. It's an online service that will save you hours of work with your content creation. Simply type in your title, and their AI software will get to work writing a high-quality original article for you. You'll need to review the article and take 15 to 20 minutes to make necessary edits before publishing, but you'll get free articles just for signing up, so you can try out the service and see how it works for you.
How many articles do I get free?
I already said you get 3 free articles. You should listen when I'm talking to you. Phosphor AI pricing is very reasonable for the quality of content that you'll get.
Why waste time writing the content yourself when you get Phosphor AI to do it for you? Visit them online today at Phosphor AI. Again, that's PHOSPHORAI.com. Welcome back to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm. Tech Time is a weekly hour technology show that talks about current technology in a simple format without having to geek out. Brought to you by myself, Nathan Mumm, and Mike Corday. We just had our first whiskey tasting during the break. Now let me tell you about what we are sipping and our pick of the day. During the show,
deliciousness.
It is. During the show, we have chosen the Pure Kentucky XO Straight Bourbon. 107 proof, so be careful here, Mr. Corday. There would be... During the breaks, you can't refill it up too much, otherwise we're going to have a trouble driving home.
There's something wrong with that.
$65.49 is the price for the bottle, according to Willet's website. Aptly named because when you think of Kentucky, you think of bourbon. This bourbon is hand-bottled, extra old, hence the XO stands for extra old, in a very limited quantities, one small batch at a time. The nose is toffee, fruit, eucalyptus, and oak. The palate is cinnamon, toffee, caramel, pepper, oak, and spices.
So when my girlfriend sends me a letter with XO at the bottom, that means extra old now?
That's what it means, extra old now. That's what it means. That's what the symbol's for. Okay. Pure Kentucky Distilling Company Straight bourbon, there's no age statement, but it's estimated to be about 12 years. Again, it's 107 proof. The mash bill's undisclosed. This is, what do you think so far?
Oh, it's
a good.
It's got a very deep flavor.
Oh, man. I like this. I'm going
to give it a thumbs down.
Oh, all right. Odie, have you taken your shot yet? Oh, Odie's going to wait a little bit. Okay, she'll have to take her shot and let us know what she thinks on that, too. All right, well, now that we got
maybe we should drink a little bit more before we talk about the National Cybersecurity Strategy.
Well, I don't know. We just had our first whiskey tasting. Now we are going to move on to our technology expert. Nick Espinosa will be joining the show. He's an expert in cybersecurity and network infrastructure. Nick Espinosa has consulted with clients ranging from small business to the Fortune 100 level. In 1998, at the age of 19, Nick founded Windy City Networks, later acquired in 2015. He then created Security Fanatics, where he is the chief security fanatic. Let's welcome Nick to our video stream to start our next segment.
Welcome to the segment we call Ask the Experts, with our TechTime Radio expert, Nick Espinosa.
All right, Nick, welcome.
Hi, Nick.
To the show today.
Hey,
how have you been?
Good. Just keeping on here. Same with you guys.
Okay.
Thank you for the record for the fluorescent light tubes in the mail. I do appreciate it. That was very nice of you.
Did they make them and they didn't break and anything like that?
No. They were all good.
Okay,
they're still sealed, nice and collectible.
Okay.
And all of that. They're already on eBay, so thank you.
Oh, there you go. So it's all of our whiskey that we give our guests on the show now. We talked about this. Have been pre-drinking on our show. Now we actually have
pre-drinking
or pre-drunk.
That's a good.
Pre-drinking, pre-drunk, and we actually have a little sticker. So Nick, you have like the limited edition version because you have the minus the new sticker that will be a part of it. But we then reseal them with wax, and then we put a little T for TechTime Radio on the top of it. So it's kind of an interesting gift if you get it. You're like, what the heck? This is halfway drinking. But yeah, then you can go back to our episode show and see if we liked it or not. If we like you, we'll send you stuff we liked, and if we don't like you, then we'll get the thumbs down stuff. And you're like, what the heck?
I got all the thumbs down stuff, but nevertheless, like I said, your listeners, it's on eBay. You can go buy it right now. So there you go.
All right, so let's start this. On March 2nd of 2023, the Biden administration announced its National Cybersecurity Strategy. The administration stated the goals for the strategy are to secure the full benefits of a safe and secure digital ecosystem for all Americans. Whether your organization is in the public or private sector, your cybersecurity program will feel the impact of the National Cybersecurity Strategy. Now, the document makes the following clear. Number one, minimum cybersecurity requirements will cascade across industries. Technology is a critical infrastructure. Protecting technology is a national security imperative that has to be taken care of, and private enterprises are critically dependent for national security. So this is kind of an interesting gig here. Now, Nick, I looked back and I tried to look through the Trump administration and see if they released any national security. I have not seen any other president that has, and whether you're for Biden, you're not for Biden, I don't really care, but I'm just saying as a cybersecurity playbook to go by. I've never seen anybody else release as much information as we've gotten from at least this administration this time. Is that correct? Is that the case for you too? Because I went back and looked.
Oh, yes. Oh, I've been tracking this stuff since forever. And so the day after Biden released this executive order, I literally did, my daily podcast and videos, a PowerPoint on this point by point. And I went back and looked. And honestly, and I mentioned in that video, I believe, if I recall, that we needed this under Trump, Obama, W, Clinton, et cetera, et cetera. Now we're starting to see movement, and that's definitely a good thing. I've got my reservations with it, but overarchingly, I think that this is a really good move towards the future, and it's something that is years in the making.
Yeah, we should have had this at least 10 years ago.
Absolutely.
If we're going to be a leading nation with technology, and other nations actually had initiatives on the books, and we are late to the party on a lot of
this. The EU alone. The EU alone is light years ahead of us right now. So yeah, we're playing catch up perpetually on privacy, on laws. Like half of our privacy and data laws were written in the Reagan era, for God's sakes. I mean, we didn't even have AOL.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how far back a lot of these go. And that's why we have so many loopholes in our laws, and it's a huge problem.
All right, so let's start with pillar number one, because there's kind of like five pillars.
Is this going to be super effective, or is this just sort of political lip service?
Well, I actually think I think since we've never had anything, for me personally, I think it's nice that we have a basic playbook that we should hold everybody accountable for. Because you can go to these conventions, you go to these cybersecurity person, you can have a gazillion companies that say they provide you cybersecurity tools and they're white labeling some air system that doesn't really even exist, and they're just making it up. Right. We haven't had any real guidelines. So the only way you can get better is by at least having a baseline, right?
Right. And Mike, to answer your question too, no, I think we have seen more movement in the cybersecurity realm under the Biden administration than we have in like all the others combined, probably back to Clinton. Yeah. And the reason being is everybody's hacking everybody. And think about what happened when Biden assumed the office. We're in the wake of the SolarWinds data breach by Russian intelligence, which affected like the entire the federal dog catching society was caught up in that one. Everybody was caught up in that, leading into Colonial Pipeline, leading into Biden publicly saying to Vladimir Putin, hey, you can't hit our, critical infrastructure sectors and all of this. This is, I think, the natural evolution of where this was going to go. So I don't think it's political. I actually think this administration means it. I just hope we keep it up. That's the goal.
All right. So pillar number one, essentially it says that we are going to defend critical infrastructure. Now, how is our nation establishing cyber security requirements to support our defending our security and public safety? What's like the overall arching pillar number one? How are we doing that?
Right. So overall, the approach that they are taking in defend critical infrastructure, number one, is expanding those minimum cybersecurity requirements into critical sectors. The Department of Defense has really taken that mantle up since about 2020, obviously well before that, but launched CMMC, or the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification. This is seriously riffing off of that to try to get this out to all sectors of the government as well as private. On top of that, they're trying to increase the collaboration between essentially the private sector that supports the federal government and the public sector, obviously, which is the government itself. And they're trying to modernize federal networks and update incident response and all of that for the federal government, which, quite frankly, the U.S. government is a hot mess and completely behind when it comes to this. So this is kind of that kick in the pants with an executive order to really start moving. And this is not the first time. They had an inspector general a couple years ago under another order from Biden, basically start taking inventory of the vulnerabilities of these various sectors. And it was not good at all. So this is a huge move forward.
All right. So pillar number two, disrupt and dismantle threat actors. Cybersecurity is currently out of control at the federal government. The pillar's goal here is to level the playing field by making attacks more costly for the attackers and improving collaboration between the private sector and the public sector. What is being done to make this happen? It seems like in my opinion, and I read the deal too, but I want to get your opinion. It seems like the public sector is saying we need help from the private sector. Is that what you got out of that also on pillar two, or tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, in part. So understand that one of the major defensive threat detection systems that the federal government has is it's basically grown in-house out of the Department of Homeland Security and CISA. It's called Einstein. And also understand that Einstein is not 100%. It didn't catch SolarWinds, that data breach, as did the enterprise stuff. But one of the things that they are specifically looking for is engaging the private sector in disruption activities through scalable mechanisms. That's an actual quote from the executive order. And essentially what they are looking at are these very advanced cybersecurity organizations that are not white labeling. They're actually building the threat defense that everybody from the DoD down to the mom and pop coffee shop are using to start engaging proactively against basically against the attackers from around the world. And I think that is honestly very promising, to see. And so we're going to see, I think, by virtue of this, if they keep it up, a lot of collaboration between those top tier threat defense companies, basically being more proactive. I'm not going to exactly say offensive, but that's where they're moving towards, because quite frankly, it's needed at this point.
All right. Pillar number three is shape market forces to drive security and resilience. Nick, this pillar emphasizes accountability and initiatives. Financial sticks and carrots are built into the security and reliance into the U.S. technology ecosystem. This holds responsible parties that have not been accountable before. Can you explain to me how the parties are now accountable? And do you think this is the correct way to emphasize how you'd kind of do a stick and a carrot to get the security resilience ecosystem in place.
We're not 100% sure what the stick's going to be. Per se, is it more fines? Is it putting you out of business? Is it all those kinds of things? One of the things that actually really bothered me about this entire thing is, and I will quote the executive order directly, we must rebalance responsibility to defend cyberspace by shifting the burden for cybersecurity away from individuals, small businesses, and local governments and onto the organizations that are most capable and best positioned to reduce risk for all of us. And that is actually a deep concern because, Nathan, you know as well as I do, cybersecurity is a shared responsibility. I don't care if you're an individual, you're a small business, whatever you are, you have to take a piece of that action. You have to take a piece of that risk. And if we are completely moving this upstream, let's say to the internet service providers that are now leveraging better threat detection to defend us, that also opens up a can of worms because the language is very vague. Does that mean they can then censor based on what they consider a threat? And so that is something I think that in this language, if we are talking about that point number 3 is an issue. Now, they're going to do this by, or they're looking at the carrot as promoting privacy and security of personal data. They're trying to shift the liability away from basically software products to promote secure development practices. I'm all for that. They want federal grant programs on top of that to promote investment. So we're going to see where this goes, but I think they need to tighten up that language. Otherwise, if I'm just simply saying, well, I don't have to do anything for cybersecurity.
I'm a small business. I'm under 20. Yeah, I'm under 28 people. Best of luck. Microsoft, you better take care of me. Cisco, you better take care of me. All these other companies, you better take care of me because I'm just going to sue you and I don't have to be responsible. I totally agree. We're exactly in the same thing there. All right, pillar number 4, resilient future. Every strategy requires looking ahead into the future and planning for disruption. The strategy is no exception. The development clarifies the need to invest and develop a secure internet. I don't understand what they mean by that necessarily because they call that out a couple times. Develop a safeguard cybersecurity intellectual property. Does this look like the correct planning for the future?
So I think part of this is they are taking part of the playbook from China's internet.
Okay.
I wrote an article for Forbes back in 2018 called The Bifurcation of the Internet, what it's going to look like in 2028. And we are marching towards that, where we have essentially China carving out their own authoritarian censored internet. But China is also building their own internet protocols. And so they're not beholden to the IPv4, IPv6, et cetera, when theirs is up and running. If we develop more secure protocols in that manner, we're not necessarily doing the same thing in terms of censoring, but we are attempting to harden basically the protocols that move traffic from A to B. And I think that's I think that's a pretty good thing. So we're going to see where that goes. They're prioritizing things like research and development for next generation technologies to aid this. They're looking at killing out, systemic technical vulnerabilities as well. And so this is one of those things. But one of the interesting approaches as well is developing a diverse and robust national cyber workforce. Yes, we have so many people in Silicon Valley that are getting laid off or fired as the bloat from the Facebooks of the world is now starting to contract. Even Amazon. Train these people in cybersecurity. We are millions of bodies behind. Please, we can use all the help that we can get.
Which kind of conflicts with pillar number 5 then. So I think that's you. So pillar number 5 is to forge an international partnership to pursue shared goals. Now, I struggle with this one. But I'm going to ask you, is the shared global goal something the U.S. should be doing on this? Or should we be, like you were just saying, hiring our own experts, training them so we can defend ourselves internationally without having to rely on individuals? Pillar number 5, give me some thoughts on that.
The short answer is yes. To both of them, yes. Think about the last 20 years as we have developed technology and infrastructure and all of that. We had basically this understanding as we were teaching our kids to grow up. If you basically build the next dog food app that delivers my dog food 10% faster, you'll make $1 billion and change the world. And for forever, nobody's really been defending this. There's been very few of us compared to the programmers and next generation developers. And now we're starting to see that contraction. We need help. We are all in this together. The internet connects us, not just here in the United States, but I can instantly go to, you mentioned Japan earlier. It takes me a second to get to a website in Japan. And so as we are all in this together, we have to approach this from a defensive standpoint. That doesn't mean we don't have to respect privacy or lower our confidence in encryption, privacy, all those things. They can work simultaneously in the same way that these new upcoming TikTok bans are looking at increasing the security state here. And I talked about that a couple couple of days ago. That's in a similar vein. We can separate those and actually have good collaborative security, good collaborative approaches to basically defending this. But this is also a kick in the pants to the Interpols of the world that need to basically start kicking in doors of these ransomware gangs and arresting them. And the problem we have right now is a lot of them are getting shelter in the Russias of the world, and that's something that this simply cannot account for. We have a massive international anti-hacking treaty with 27 countries, and noticeably absent from those signed treaties are Russia, China, and a lot of our adversaries. So we've got work to do, but overall, I think it's a pretty good thing.
All right, Nick, where can people find out more about the National Cybersecurity Strategy review that you did? If I want to see your whole thing, where can our fans go? Because they love having you on the show. Tell us where we can find that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So find me at YouTube/Nick Espinosa. I could always love the followers, and it's about a month ago, a couple weeks back, but I literally have a PowerPoint presentation. You can read the actual language. You can hear me complain about it or agree with it, whatever it is, but it's an honest assessment of this entire thing. And overall, like I said, I think it's a good thing. They just need to tighten the language.
Nick, we always enjoy you having you on the show. Thank you so much for your expertise on this. I can't wait to see you on our next episode.
Looking forward to it. Thanks,
All
guys.
right. That ends our segment, Ask the Expert with Nick. Up next, we have This Week in Technology, so now would be a great time to enjoy a little whiskey on the side, as we will be doing during the break. You're listening to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mumm. See you in a few minutes.
This is Marc.
And Greg.
For Copiers Northwest.
With a terrific offer.
Called Printer Care Plus.
It's simple. Buy HP printer cartridges from Copiers Northwest and we'll service your current printers for free.
That sounds too good to be true.
It's made possible due to our HP Copiers Northwest relationship.
Copiers Northwest is an HP Platinum partner.
One of only 2 in the entire Northwest.
And now with Printer Care Plus,
Copiers Northwest will provide free printer service.
As long as they purchase genuine HP cartridges from Copiers Northwest.
That's right. IT departments no longer have to service printers.
Or fix paper jams with Printer Care Plus.
They can focus on more strategic initiatives.
And let our experienced technicians keep their HP printers up and running.
Sounds like a love-love relationship for IT departments.
Don't get too carried away. So how do they get more details on Printer Care Plus?
Call Copiers Northwest today, 206-282-1200, or visit copiersnw.com.
Copiers Northwest. New ideas, new solutions.
And now, let's look back at this week in technology.
Right. All right. We're going to April 1st, 2004. On April Fool's Day, the idea of free email from a company called Google was released. They called it Gmail. This is launched as an invitation-only beta service. This was met with skepticism due to it being launched on April Fool's Day. However, Gmail ease of use and the speed for the web-based email service quickly won everyone over. The one unified mailbox will go on to shape how your host and others now organize email. The fact that Gmail was invitation only for a long time helped fuel the mystique that those with a Gmail address were hip and uber cool. Those of us who were hip and uber cool didn't get accounts essentially were accounted for as the nerds who were the cool and hip people. Gmail is the most used email platform in the world. That was This Week in Technology. If you ever wanted to watch some Tech Time history with over 2 years of video, podcasts, and blog information, you can visit techtimeradio.com to watch our older shows or join the Tech Timers Facebook group to talk with us live all the time. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we have Marc's Mumble whiskey review. We'll see you after the break.
Hello, my name is Arthur, and my life's work is connecting people with coffee. StoriCoffee is a small batch specialty coffee company that uses technology to connect people to each product resource, which allows farmers to unlock their economic freedom. Try our Medium Roast Founder Series coffee, which is an exotic bourbon variety that is smooth, fresh, and elegant at StoriCoffee.com. That's STORI coffee.com. Today you can get your first bag free when you subscribe at StoriCoffee.com with code TechTime. That's STORI coffee.com.
The segment we've been waiting all week for, Marc's Whiskey Mumble.
Well, today is apparently Tell a Lie Day.
What?
April 4th.
April 4th? Isn't that April Fool's Day?
I don't know. I don't know where he gets this crap.
I don't. Okay, all right. That's what Mark's saying.
Apparently today is Tell a Lie Day, and it gives us permission to tell a lie within reason. So I don't know.
Okay, Mike, you look fantastic today.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Well, whatever.
Okay.
So we're drinking Pure Kentucky XO Kisses and Hugs.
Straight bourbon.
Straight bourbon, 107 proof. Their website states one small batch at a time. What is small batch bourbon? Carla Carlton, the author of Barrel Strength Bourbon, says it best. Despite the fact that bourbon is one of the most regulated spirits in the world, there is no official definition of or requirement for what constitutes a small batch bourbon. A small batch can be drawn from one barrel, dozens of barrels, hundreds of barrels. It means whatever the bottler wants it to mean.
So small batch is just like
kind
anything.
of like free-range chicken.
Okay.
You know?
So I have a free-range chicken.
You know what the definition of free-range chicken is?
Yeah, that means they always are outside free-ranging.
Absolutely not. It means they have to have access to the outside.
Oh, okay.
That's all it means.
Is that all it means? Okay.
That's all it means.
Okay.
So here is Mark's contribution to April 4th Tell a Lie Day. Nathan has great taste in whiskey. Mark will guess that this whiskey will not suit Nathan since it has character and some bite. A surprising thumbs up from Mark on a Nathan find.
Oh, so okay. Of course, I found this. I raised my little level after getting yelled at by Mark for saying that LA Bar is the bottom whiskey. So I went out and bought some nice whiskey, and he's saying he actually likes this whiskey.
This is a good one. I think you stumbled on to this one.
I did. I asked the person to give me 3 nice bottles, and he went to the top shelf, and they were $300 bottles, and I said, yeah, okay, it's for a radio station show. I'm only going to get a shot of it. So then he moved me down to the middle range. But it was much higher than the normal shelf I get my stuff from.
This has got a very, very distinct,
taste.
deep I can only describe it as a deep taste.
All right, well, Mark, thanks for that mumble. As we move on the show, today we are going to welcome back Phil to close out our series on the James Webb Space Telescope. Phil Hennessy continues his mission to bring on details of technology to our Tech Time listeners. Phil is our technology robotics expert and loves to break down technology for the normal person. Let's start our Ask the Expert segment with Phil.
Welcome to the segment we call Ask the Experts with our Tech Time Radio expert, Phil Hennessy.
All right, Phil, welcome back to the show. I know that we've been very busy to work on this series, and you've done a great job. We're excited to bring you back to close up our quest for details regarding the James Webb Space Telescope. Now, as we end every
Galaxy
show,
Quest.
Well, hang on. Now, as we end every show, the science of tomorrow starts with the technology of today, and boy, is that true. Today, we're going to go on a journey. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
You didn't say
it's
the
a period.
dun,
Dun, dun, dun. It's a period of scientific exploration, and the rebel forces are looking into a new beacon to give meaning and balance to the force of the galaxy.
Is this really where you're going with this today?
Okay, everyone knows that we're talking about the James Webb Telescope, or as we call it, JWST. And we're concluding our 3-part series today. Now, we've been looking at what discoveries have been made with the telescope. And we left off last episode with essentially Phil telling us that he's going to give us some of the important scientific discoveries that have already been made so far. So welcome back, Phil. Glad to have you.
Glad to be here. And Mike, I set him up a little bit. He went way over the top, just for the record. So
you don't have to apologize for that. That's what Nathan does. He sees a pebble and he has to go way over the top.
That's exactly right. All right. So tell us, what are some of the great items that look back over time, long time ago, that we've been able to discover with the James Webb Space Telescope?
So JWST has definitely found some galaxies a long time ago, and far, far away.
All right.
Now, the first one we're going to talk about is the JADES GSZ 13 TAC 0. I'm not going to say it again. We're going to call it JADES the rest of the time. That formed 325 million years after the Big Bang.
Okay.
All right. So Hubble has found the oldest one that it has found is the GNZ 11, which was 400 million years after the Big Bang. Okay. And then Webb has also found 2 other candidate galaxies have not been confirmed yet on age. One is 300 million years after the Big Bang, and one was 235 million years after the Big Bang. So why are we interested? One, because they want to understand the beginnings of the universe, and we're going to talk about some other galaxies that were found later in the series, later in the show here today on some things. But put this in perspective: the Jade's light took 13.6 billion years to get here.
Okay, and
because of universe expansion, it is 33.6 billion light years away right now from us, this galaxy. And if the universe is about 13.7 to 13.8 billion years old, this Jade's galaxy was only 2% of the universe's current age. So only 2% old when the universe as of now.
Okay. All right.
So does that mean it's quote unquote further out from us?
Just a tad.
That's because, and the reason that these are that we can look back at this is essentially because it takes light so long to come to us to get.
When you're looking at a star, you're essentially looking at
the past, which is
correct.
The history, which we were talking about last session. Is that exactly? So I think this qualifies as the long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Perfect. All right, now the Hubble has the optical imaging, and the James Webb has the infrared vision. That's what I learned last week. All right, we talked about that last week. What happens when you combine the infrared vision with the Hubble's optical image, and how does this transform our views of ghostly galaxies out there?
You get really awesome pictures.
That's right. Really awesome pictures. The Phantom M74 is, if your viewers get a chance, go look this one up. It's the Phantom Galaxy, or M74. It is amazing.
M74. Okay.
M74. And so basically what they've done is they've combined the two different images for the infrared of Webb and the optical from Hubble, and they've now been able to find, which they didn't see before. One, it's a very low light galaxy, so it's not the best to image. And so what they've been able to do with these two combined images is understand where stars are being born they didn't know of before, and star clusters, and they can actually see a lot more that's going on in this, combining different technologies and different spacecraft. And this galaxy is 32 million light years away. It's in the Pisces constellation, if anybody's interested. And so we can now see star-forming regions in this galaxy and see it in a way that's never been seen before.
Let me just tell you, somebody is very interested in here. Mr. Gordea, as we're talking, immediately goes to his Surface laptop here, a little plug for Microsoft Surface, and is looking up the pictures of some of these things as you're talking about it.
Oh, yeah.
This is good
stuff.
All right,
it's absolutely beautiful.
Now, I understand the Webb telescope just found some massive objects that shouldn't exist in deep space, and the astrophysicists are literally quoted saying it's bananas. So explain that to me. What does that mean?
Are they literally bananas?
So they found 6 massive galaxies that shouldn't exist with our current theories and understanding of the universe.
Okay.
So these galaxies, basically at this age that they were looking at, they should find small, dim galaxies, not a lot of stars, struggling to form. Well, they found these massive galaxies with a massive amount of storms that were growing at a huge, fast rate, of astonishing rate. And there shouldn't be enough matter at this time to create these types of stars and solar systems in the galaxy. So they're really scratching their heads, and they don't understand how this affects their models. And so literally they're quoted saying it's bananas.
So they're finding out more stuff.
So we're looking at something that can potentially change the theoretical underpinnings of astrophysics.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not only that, but possibly string theory and all those other smaller ones.
Far, but there's a whole,
Okay.
Yes, it's just, where did this material come from? How were they able to create these large galaxies so fast at the beginning of the universe?
All right, so that's fantastic news. Now, that means it sounds like there's alien worlds out there. Is that right? So are you saying that
anything that's not on this planet is alien?
Well, that's correct. I'm not saying that I think there's any planet Vulcan or anything like that at all. But what exactly has the James Webb Space Telescope actually seen on exoplanet levels?
Sure. So James Webb. So just kind of some history. The first exoplanet was discovered in the 1990s, and over 3,000 worlds have been observed since then. But only about 24 have been directly imaged by other telescopes with a direct image. So both what we talked about, remember, is last time if you have a planet transit a star, you can then look at the light being absorbed by that atmosphere to understand if the planet has an atmosphere or not and what kind. Well, in this case, that's how a lot of these planets were found, is because of the planet transiting the star. We're taking a direct image of the planet without the transit. And so that's only, I think, about 12 have been done so far across this. And this is the first one for James Webb to do.
Okay.
It is 385 light years from Earth. It is called HIP 65426.
Okay.
And it is 12 times the size of Jupiter. It's a gas giant, and it's much further out than any other planet on our solar system. And really what it looks like when you see it, it just looks like a little tiny splotch next to this star. So,
Gotcha.
But I was able to identify and photograph, and that's due to all the instrumentation that we talked about last time, and the near spec and the MIRI, and blocking out the sun and a bunch as a starlight and everything like that. So they're able to do it, and they're going to probably find a lot more, I would imagine.
All right, to wrap up our series, the last question here: the James Webb Space Telescope expected mission, was it kind of Star Trek as a 5-year mission? What was the James Webb's?
You can't help yourself.
I know. expected mission life.
But Mike, the problem is the facts line up with some of the stuff he says. So
I know.
Originally, they were guaranteeing a 5-year mission life.
Aha! But it'll be on for like another 35 years and still going.
You know what's going to happen? I'm going to be sitting with dinner. He's going to take credit for that. He's going to be like, I designed it that way.
All right. Okay.
But because of the really, really good execution of this launch,
Yep.
they will have a lot more fuel. What it was is based off of fuel, because they have to remember that L2 orbit we were talking about. It has to keep station there. And so the fuel is used to keep station 930,000 miles away from Earth. And so they perfectly parked it there. So they have enough fuel, they believe, for an additional 15 years for a 20-year life.
Oh, wow. So it's going to be a Stargate series, not a
oh my God.
Star Trek Discovery series. There you go. Okay. All right. Well, Phil,
I don't know if you like these stories because they're awesome in and of themselves, or you could just pack in all kinds of references to Star Trek.
Stargate's like the longest sci-fi series. That's right. Okay. Well, Phil, thank you so much for the series. We thank you so much. When can we expect to see you doing another series again? Are you gonna come up with some ideas here in the near future?
Some ideas in the near future, and then looking for support from your viewers, your listeners, as well as any ideas. So throw them out there to you, and we can talk about them.
Oh boy. Okay. Here we go. Viewers, you can write us at info@techtimeradio.com, and I'm sure they're going to get lots of crazy ideas. So be careful what you ask for, Phil. It's bananas. All right. Thanks so much, Phil.
Thanks, Phil.
Appreciate it.
That was a great segment. Now we're going to get ready to go to our technology fail of the week.
We are out of time. Congratulations. You're a failure.
Oh. I failed, did I?
Yes.
Did I?
Yes.
Did I?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Western Digital. There's nothing like having your cloud data backup company compromised. And the company responsible has no idea on how much data has been compromised or when they're going to be back online again.
I bet they're pretty sure that it's not personal information.
Well, Western Digital, My Cloud, goes down after a hack. Western Digital says that they do not know when the My Cloud will be operational again. Western Digital has apparently taken its My Cloud consumer cloud and backup service offline as a result of a hack the company noted last week. Western Digital said Monday on March 26th it identified what it calls a network security incident involving Western Digital systems that involved an unauthorized third-party hacker gaining access. Western Digital says that it's working with law enforcement and outside security experts, hopefully not FireEye, but the investigation is still in its early stages. The hacker did take data, and Western Digital said it's determining how much of the data was leaked. Unfortunately for customers, Western Digital's remedy means that their MyCloud system is offline, and so is their MyCloud Home, MyCloud Home Duo, MyCloud OS 5, the ScanDisk IBI, ScanDisk Xplan, wireless chargers, and other services. They said that they apologize for the inconvenience.
Okay, so this is all a private cloud service
that most consumers back up to. So it'd be like me having a backup that I pay.
So this is not my Microsoft Cloud.
This is not your Microsoft. This is Western Digital's.
Okay.
They call it My Cloud. That's OneDrive. So they're not. This is Western Digital's equivalent to Microsoft's OneDrive that got hacked.
You would have to have a specific subscription.
Yes.
To Western
this.
Digital.
But if you did and you had your personal photos, your personal pictures, well, guess what? The hacker now has those pictures, so hopefully there's nothing incriminating to get you.
Like Facebook.
That's right.
Facebook sells your photos, so who cares?
So, all right, now we're going to move right on to our Mike's Mesmerizing Moment. This is Mike's Mesmerizing Moment, presented by StoriCoffee. Visit StoriCoffee.com. All right, so we talked about this last night at the production meeting.
Yeah.
Why are people so fascinated with space?
Why are people fascinated with anything?
Well, I don't know. So you're the expert. Tell us why we're fascinated with space items.
There's a lot of reasons why we're fascinated with things like space. There's historical upon historical evidence that we as humans want to discover new things. And space, as you so often quote from Roddenberry, is the final frontier.
Yep.
So we want that, and it's one of the basis of our far-reaching need to discover and know things. So, I can give a little insight that a lot of people don't really realize, but because I'm a supremely curious person. So that curiosity that drives things, right? Curiosity is almost a fear of not knowing.
Okay.
So we want to discover these things because in discovering new things, we then get to label it, or try to understand it, which takes a certain fear away from us.
Okay.
And that's one of the drivers behind this type of need to go out there and discover things, and because the fear of the unknown for the human being is one of the worst fears that we suffer.
All right, that makes sense. All right, well, we're going to now go to our pick of the day, whiskey tasting.
And now our pick of the day for our whiskey tastings. Let's see what bubbles to the top.
All right, Odie's going to have to get on the mic because I know she got a second shot, I think. We have the Pure Kentucky XO Straight Bourbon, 107 proof, $65.49. Again, this is the toffee fruit eucalyptus.
Really? Really? You worked on that.
I know
you worked on that so hard.
Eucalyptus and oak. Eucalyptus. All right. And the palette of cinnamon, toffee, caramel, pepper, oak, and spices.
You did that on purpose.
I did. But that's okay.
We were messing with you earlier.
I know, because I had it. All right, so let me tell you, I am giving this absolutely a thumbs up. This was fantastic.
I don't think you need to ask me what I'm giving it because I've already told you.
What are you giving it?
This is definitely a thumbs up.
This is fantastic.
This is a very, very rich and deep flavored whiskey.
All right, Odie, what do you got?
I'm also giving it a thumbs up.
You're giving it a thumbs up? Mm-hmm. Is it a one thumbs up, two thumbs up?
Two thumbs up.
Two thumbs up.
She had two shots.
I know.
Had one shot.
She said now she's saying she only had one shot. Okay. FCC, that was only one shot. All right, well, now we got a couple seconds, right? How many? We got about a minute left. So we're going to go to the Nathan Nugget. Not that we have to play.
Is this Nathan Nugget or just Nathan ranting?
Well, it's kind of the Nathan rant. So, the Nathan Nuggets be kind of a Nathan. Somebody used ChatGPT to generate free Windows keys. So ChatGPT is awesome. I love it, right? I love it.
Yeah, we always hear about how you love it, but you don't acknowledge all the crappy stuff that you can do with it.
That's correct. Well, a YouTuber, Ederman, essentially used ChatGPT to create the license keys for Windows 95. And now it has been out.
I don't know why you would want a license key for Windows 95.
Well, that one had the ability to understand the mathical algorithm that Microsoft used to actually create the serious thing.
Did it do that, or did it just scour the internet and look for actual free keys?
I don't know how it did it, but it essentially came up with it. So be careful what you're putting in your ChatGPT stuff there. I know as much as we get excited about it,
get excited about
fooling around with it could get you in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, you realize that ChatGPT, the way it is now, is the worst it's ever going to be.
That's correct. I do know that. All right, well, hopefully you enjoyed the show. We enjoyed making it for you. Remember, the science of tomorrow starts with the technology of today.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us on TechTime Radio. We hope that you had a chance to have that moment today in technology. The fun doesn't stop there. we recommend that you go to techtimeradio.com and join our fan list for the most important aspect of staying connected and winning some really great monthly prizes. We also have a few other ways to stay connected, including subscribing to our podcast on any podcast service, from Apple to Google and everything in between. We're also on YouTube, so check us out on youtube.com/techtimeradio, all one word. We hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did making it for you. From all of us at TechTime Radio, remember, Mumm's the word. Have a safe and fantastic week.